everybody, Joe Compton here for Go Indie Now. I'm live here at the California Theater in downtown San Jose for the opening night of the Cinequest Film and Creative Festival. We're real excited to be invited back to cover this wonderful, wonderful event.
Thank you. Come on. You're. Oh, dude. What's up? Down low. What's up, Jacob? Oh, you're welcome. Good morning. Job. I love this job. The power. I'm gonna hold it just a little extra longer. All right, have a good day. Don't be late. I believe in these kids. I believe they're our future. You know, we'll teach them well and let them lead the way. And they're good, smart kids. Probably gonna get us living on Mars someday. Have a good day, y'all. So we grown-ups, we need to teach these kids all the love, all the beauty that we possess inside of us. Because if it wasn't for us, I mean, where would they go, right? We're showing them. We're, Marty, Mimi, I saw you, dang it.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Tony Gapastione. I am the writer, director, and producer of The Crossing Guard.
Writer and director of The Crossing Guard. Local filmmaker, by the way.
Redwood City, California.
Yes, sir. Second time he's been here.
That's right.
Yeah. So, what do you love about Cinequest? What is it about Cinequest that makes it so special for you?
Well, we both live in the Bay Area. Adriene acted in the film. Adriene, you live in San Jose. So this is kind of right in your backyard. So, and we also have a film festival ourselves as well. To be able to go to another film festival with no responsibilities, that feels nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about the short film that you made.
I'll let you go ahead.
It's a mockumentary about about his life of being a crossing guard, spending a few weeks crossing guard for his daughter's school, and most of the experiences that happen in the film are in fact true. So it's quite hilarious the things that he had to go through to be a crossing guard and how dangerous the job really can be.
I say I had to risk my life to be a crossing guard volunteer. Yeah.
Using your skill set that you have, making films and being an artist, what do you think that lended to being a crossing guard?
Oh my gosh. You know, at the end of the film, and I like doing this in all of my films, putting a little dedication. We dedicated the film to all the public servants out there in the world. May you dodge mopeds, avoid a body cast, and not get pooped on by pigeons.
Yes. And
that little dedication is kind of, I think, really analogous to being an artist. It's so hard. You feel like you're constantly, death by a million paper cuts kind of thing. It's a battle to try to create something and birth it and bring it to life. And it's kind of funny to think about this, but tomorrow my kids go back to school, okay? And my wife was saying, that's the first day you realized there was no crossing guard on the first day of school. So a year ago, I started volunteering and got the idea, and we did this pretty quick. Like, I was volunteering in August and September, and we filmed this in November, and then now here we are in August, and it's screening, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I mean, filming something locally, using what we have here, the resources that we have. Talk a little bit about triumphing, and does that, being in your own backyard and being in a film festival like this where you are showing something from your own backyard, do you feel like there's kind of a better, not so much a validation, because making the work is a validation in itself, but maybe a little bit more of a pride thing that you've been accepted to a film festival that's kind of local and that you have this opportunity, and now it's your second time doing that.
I mean, that does feel good, right? To be able to say to our friends, hey, come see it on a big screen.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go out of state. You just,
and you don't have to pay for the screening either.
Well, there you go. Exactly. For us, at least, yeah. And, you know, I mean, Adriene, you can speak to this too, but we want our family and our friends to champion our work. And sometimes, you know, you can talk about it, you can see Facebook posts, but until you're in a theater and you see it, wow, then you have an emotional experience that maybe sometimes encourages or inspires people to start supporting us even more.
Yeah, we're always looking for more support, and being here in our kind of hometown of the Bay Area and using all the talent, not just on-camera talent, but the crew, you know, sound, everybody was Bay Area local, so it felt good to be able to pull them in and give them work and have them be part of it.
Yeah.
You know, that, so this being such a personal story to Tony, do you feel a sense of responsibility in kind of, I mean, it's a comedic role, so you probably had a little bit more of freedom to it, but do you feel like there's a little bit more of a responsibility to tell the story the way that he wants to tell it because of the idea that it's him really in the story?
Absolutely. I respect Tony as a writer and director, and so as an actor I go in and I do my take on how I perceive the character, and then he'll give me little adjustments and bring it back to what he wants, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is what the director wants. So yeah,
Nice.
I feel like we did you justice.
Nice.
You did.
So what is it about indie film that keeps you coming back and making more? What do you love about independent film?
I mean, do we have a choice? I mean, we don't have a choice. It's like, we're indie filmmakers until someone plops us out and says you're not. We will just keep going and keep making. You know, we started Brave Maker as a nonprofit to lighten the load of the financial burden. I don't really think it's a burden when people really get what we're trying to do. It's a gift. If they become supporters of us. And we've made a ton of short films this past year, and we're on track. We started an academy, so we're doing an acting academy and really a film academy with Brave Maker to keep making some more. So keep your eyes out. There's more coming down.
Nice, awesome. What do you love about independent film, Adriene?
I just love being on set. Like I told Tony, like I could be shoveling crap and still have fun just being on set and being with all these wonderful creative people that all are just so passionate about the work.
Nice.
And you know, just the networking that we do, the promoting of Brave Maker and what we're all about, and it's just been a pleasure.
Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and the film that you made here.
So my name is Fahr, and I'm the writer-director of Valley of Exile.
Nice.
And I'm Habib Battah. I'm the co-producer of Valley of Exile.
You mentioned, I've been eavesdropping, and you mentioned that this has been a labor of love for the most part. Kind of give people a sense of what that really means, because people hear that and they go, oh yeah, well, making films, and you know, you're lucky to make films and do all that, but really, what did it mean to kind of make this happen?
Well, you know, I started writing this film over 8 years ago. I was living in Lebanon at the time. Habib is Lebanese, I'm Iranian American, and I was interested in writing a film about sisters, but set against the backdrop of the war in Syria, which had just started. So it was in 2013. Fast forward 8 years, and we are now premiering the film. So it's a film that took 8 years from start to finish, shot in a real-life refugee camp with real Syrian actresses who, well, at the time they were non-actresses, they had never acted, so they became actresses in the process of making this film, who had both fled the war and come to Lebanon as refugees. And so it's a film that really goes deep inside the question of what does it mean to be a refugee, what does it mean to be in between places and searching for a sense of home when you are ultimately unable to go home. So yeah, it's a story that I connect with on that level, being the daughter of immigrants who also fled a very sort of difficult circumstance. My parents are from Iran, and Habib's father has also fled Lebanon, and so we were lucky to have the privilege of growing up as children of immigrants. They went through those circumstances, and not everyone's so lucky. So I felt like I wanted to make a film that really allowed me to understand that journey better and tell the story of characters that I personally could connect with as a young woman, as a sister, and hopefully audiences will connect as well.
Why choose it to be a narrative? What was it about the narrative aspect of it that spoke to you a little bit more than actually doing like a documentary about it?
I've made several documentaries on the same subject. Habib and I produced 2 interactive documentary films on the same subject, which is of Syrian refugee mothers in Lebanon. We also produced a short film, narrative short film. So I've been sort of walking in between documentary and fiction for a very long time. And this film is sort of a hybrid in a lot of ways, because it's a fictional story. It's a story that I wrote, but it's shot in a real location where people live, people who came from Syria and have been lived for 10 years. It's made with the people of that community. You know, Maria Hassan is a young singer from Latakia, Syria, who came to Lebanon at the early years of the war. Hala Hosni, the other lead actress, came from Homs with her family when she was just a child, who also fled from the war. So everybody involved in this film has in some way connected with the journey of migration and exile, and so I think the film is, in many ways, it's real. Even though it's fiction, it has a really profound authenticity that hopefully will, resonate with the audience.
As a producer, your job is often to tell Habib, to tell people, hey, look, we can't really do that. When she came to you and said, we're doing a narrative feature, what was your first response to that? What was your idea about that?
I mean, are you crazy? We had a lot of locations, so it was an independent film with a small budget and a lot of locations with a lot of actors in a country that's collapsing.
Yeah.
At a time of a pandemic. So I mean, it just couldn't get more crazy at some point. And at one point, I was driving out there, I think like at 3 a.m. Down this dirt road, down another dirt road. I'm like, what? She's out there at 3 a.m. in the middle of nowhere. And at first I was kind of worried for her, and I was thinking, okay, I should go because I've been there all day. And then I thought, no one's gonna find us out here anyway. And then you just pull up, and there's just all these spotlights in the middle of almost like a desert area. It's a very arid valley.
Geographically,
Not so, yeah.
Silicon Valley. It's ironic almost, but the Battah Valley looks very similar because of the mountains that line.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like very hard stopping because all the news was coming out, and we were in quarantine, and we were scouting, and we were so worried about sanitizing everything and having the actors try to mask. And I was spraying like the sanitizer gun at one point. I was filling up bottles of water with gasoline. The country had no gasoline at the time.
Yeah.
I was waiting in lines for hours getting gasoline, moving hard drives. So yeah, she was just to keep her in her calm state of mind. There's a lot of people who had to really just a lot of blood and sweat to get that happening. But it's so good to be in an air-conditioned place now with gaseline, with no worry about getting places, electricity. A lot of things you take for granted.
Yeah.
Like living in a house with walls and a floor. I mean, people that we were working with, it wasn't fake, it wasn't make-believe. We weren't, creating things. It was really their life that we were coming into, and they got nothing. I mean, when you're out there braving the elements with a canvas tent and maybe a few pieces of wood, and not really having a floor and a wall, we come home, even to we were staying in a really kind of outdated, blown-up hotel, but even that place felt so luxurious.
Yeah.
Compared to where we were working all day, down under the sun, without much cover, and without much water, without a lot of things that people didn't have, and so it was tough. We had to quiet all these noises. Lebanon is so loud. I mean, any American city, even New York, is quiet compared to Lebanon. The smallest village in Lebanon is louder than New York. Engines and revving and young boys, and everybody wants to be part of the film. The whole village comes around 100 times to see what we're doing, and we're like, stop! And we got into some fights, stopping traffic.
You're gonna guilt people into watching this movie.
Yeah.
everybody's now going.
You asked me how hard it was, so it's your fault.
It's a whole other level.
I am curious though. we're such an insular country. Oftentimes we don't know what's really going on, the true stories out there. So what do you think is the one thing about your film that people can relate to that would bring them to see this film and really go, I relate to that?
One of the reasons why I'm a filmmaker whose work is largely focused on the Middle East is because growing up, most of the films that I watched tend to show only one side of the Middle East, and that was something that was war-torn and a place where it was just like a place where people didn't actually live.
Yeah.
In a way that we could understand. And so I've always tried to show another side of a place that I'm deeply connected to. My husband is Lebanese, I'm Iranian, so I've traveled quite a bit in the Middle East, in Lebanon specifically, where we did the film. And we wanted to show sort of just, the moments of daily life that can happen when people are stuck in a situation that they never imagined they would be in. And, we often think of refugees as those people over there.
Yeah.
But as we can see, with climate crises that are happening all over the place, in an instant your life can be completely turned upside down. And so it can happen to anybody. And I think that that's sort of what I'm hoping audiences will take away is that, these aren't refugees from someplace far away in the Middle East. It could be my backyard, it could be my neighbor, it could be my friend, it could be my sister, it could be my cousin. And I'm hoping that, through the characters in this film, that feeling will come across, and it's a universal story in that sense. It's not just a film about Lebanon, Syria, the Middle East. It's a film about a journey of exile that we've all somehow been through, whether it's our own experience, our parents' experience, our grandparents going back.
What do you love about independent film? What do you love about it, Habib? Come on, you had to love something about it.
I think it's great to get a break from corporate entertainment that is just fed to us in a very formulaic way. And we're telling a story that has almost rarely been told. We're not recycling the story, and we did things that probably no studio would find to be profitable or anything. And so that was what's great about it is getting out there and telling a story that you really feel passionate about, not a story that you just want to make merchandise out of or something. So I think that was important. I'm a journalist, so the story is very important to me, and our efforts to tell a story is very important, and for the audience to also understand that. And I think it's what we could bring with an independent film that we might not get with a very polished production that doesn't really has like a happy ending or something like that. So I think this is a more realistic look at life.
Nice. And what do you love about independent film?
I mean, I love just how I can discover something I never
it was fun, and everybody's
was out there. I think I personally am drawn to films that are very character-driven, films that are about complicated characters, and that's the kind of film that I'm trying to make as well. So I think a lot of times independent films are sort of like they're so in their niche little corners that they're not trying to be something else. They're
thus far, it's
really
been amazing.
brave and real about them.
I really do.
We're looking for our pilot, and you found her. Excuse me, we have a problem.
I understand. Scott?
You could have convinced them, Richard.
We'll make it happen.
Hello?
Joel, it's your grandfather.
How are you, Graham?
Well, Bert's dead, so not so good.
Millie's mind isn't what it used to be.
Visual hallucinations may be the first signs of symptoms.
There is nothing wrong with me. I've been on the mainland so long, I hardly recognize you.
He's how old now?
Zach? Davey's little brother. Wow.
MIT graduate,
pilot's license.
People on the mainland think that all pilots should be men.
Who's your boss? He doesn't know how good you fly?
It's complicated. People don't want to fly with a girl.
If women waited for the right time, nothing would ever change.
There's a pilot like you.
Yeah. She swears she was in a plane crash. Would there be a record of that?
I don't think we should leak this outside of the family.
There is more to life than being a passenger. Well, it's true.
Back in the day, you used to follow her and Davy around.
What?
I thought you was chasing your big brother, but maybe you're chasing her.
If you're Amelia Earhart, it means I was meant to do this.
And if I'm not who you think I am, you're not meant to do this? I have lived the sweetest life here with your grandfather and all of you. This is a life worth celebrating. Don't have regrets, Joe.
I won't. Someone has an important journey to complete.
There's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child, and we're your village.
You're stuck with us.
My name is Amy Glazer, and I'm representing 7,000 Miles, written by Colette Freeman, and I'm the director and one of the producers.
And a professor as well. You're local. Yeah.
So local. I live in the Oakland Hills.
She's literally down the street, everybody.
It's true. I've been directing theater and film in the Bay Area for about 30 years, and teaching for about 30 years. So I commute from Oakland to San Jose. It's the 880 is my road.
What was it about this script and this movie that made you want to make a film like this?
All my films are about female characters and female-driven stories.
Nice.
So when this came along, it's about Amelia Earhart, and it's about a granddaughter and her grandmother, and it's about flying and breaking the glass ceiling in 1977. And all of those are things that speak to me as a feminist and as a female director. So when Lexi Dove, who is one of the actresses, the leads in the film with Wendy Malick, both of whom are producers with me, brought me this script, I was just thrilled. And I said, if I can get Wendy Malick and if I can get Jim Orr, who is a cinematographer who shot many of my features, I said I'm in. And we moved to, and I raised some of the financing, and we moved to Oahu, even though it's supposed to be Malachi, to the windward side, to a house where we were shooting and living in at the same time. And in the spirit of John Cassavetes,
yes,
we all came together. My husband would cook us dinner, and Wendy Malick would make us our martinis at the end of every night. And it was one of the most joyous experiences of my life as a filmmaker.
You know, making a period piece and putting it in a setting of a time, for independent film, for regular film, it's a challenge, you know, finding the right costumes, finding the right atmosphere, creating the right atmosphere. Talk a little bit about the challenges you faced in trying to recreate a time period that already existed.
Well, first of all, 1977 was my period. So for me, I didn't have to do a whole lot of research. I knew the clothes, I knew the time, and so much of the clothes now is evocative of that period. So, and also all the thrift stores. We did a lot of thrifting. Finding the cars was sometimes challenging, especially since none of my actors seem to know how to drive a stick shift.
Oh, yeah.
Something I'd like to recommend for future young actors. The island itself, even on the windward side of Oahu, which was supposed to be Molokai, is still so unruined, is still so pure and untouched that it wasn't that hard, really. You know, it really wasn't. And like I said, 1977.
Yeah.
I was my best in 1977.
What did you learn about Amelia that you didn't know going into this thing?
I learned that she was not just a pilot and a highly trained engineer, really, in so many ways. She knew how to work on planes, she knew all that. I also learned she was a poet, She was a very sensitive, shy individual, and she was not comfortable with all of the celebrity, which makes this what if story very probable. Because if she had survived the crash and if she had had the opportunity to reinvent herself, I could see her doing that.
If you're Amelia Earhart, it means I was meant to do this.
And if I'm not who you think I am, you're not meant to do this?
No, of course not, but I just want the truth.
I think you know.
I don't. I need you to tell me. If you're Amelia Earhart, it could change a lot of things.
She had 7,000 miles left to circumnavigate the globe, hence our title.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, finding out about her humanity, and that on some level she was an artist. She was a Renaissance woman. Was really something that I did not know, and I had done a lot of research over the years and had always been interested in her story. So that was really a revelation.
Nice, awesome. So, what do you love about independent film? You've been in this business for a long, long time. What makes you keep doing it independently?
I'm going to give you 2 words: final cut.
Yeah. Nothing like it.
I think independent filmmaking means that you don't have, 8,000 assistants to producers, throwing in and checking boxes. It was a labor of love. It was a pure kind of storytelling experience that involved Colette Freeman, the writer, and me, and Wendy, and Lexi, and as 4, passionate and strong women who are very collaborative by nature. It was the way I love to tell stories. And then at the end, these 2 fabulous producers, Jen Wibberley and Jen Prince, came along and got us through post-production. And that, along with my partner Jim Orr, who is my other half, it was just a labor of love. I love making independent films, and honestly, I love the idea of the money and, not having to shoot a whole feature film in 18 days on boats and on, and swimming and in planes. But the reality of being able to stay in control of the narrative, of the story that I want to tell, and to bring my heart to the story, that's what I love. The reason I'm a professor is that I don't have to make independent films for money.
Yeah.
This is what I do to breathe and to have joy in my life.
It.
And then I use that to teach. If I wasn't doing what I was teaching, I would have nothing to teach. I'm a big believer that, if you're in a production-oriented department, you need to walk the walk, and you need to do what you teach.
Perhaps we discuss the accident.
I just thought I was getting better, but the migraines are getting worse. Every time I try and fight, it crushes me to my core. Do you know how that makes me feel? Do you?
No. No, I do not. I must caution you to continue to monitor your intake.
I can't bear to think what I would do without it.
Vivian, you gotta get your shit together. You know what is wrong with you? Is it the accident?
She was my best friend.
We've been expecting you. Tell me, Vivian, who were you running from? yourself?
It was the safest place to go. You think I'm crazy, don't you?
Stop the ride! I invited him into our home.
You did what?
He's here for you.
I'm not well, Doctor.
Leave us alone!
Tell everybody your names and what you have representing here today.
Logan Hunter, producer for the film BIBI.
Hi, Nick Belcevich, producer for the film BIBI.
Nice. Tell everybody a little bit about the film itself.
You want to take it? Yeah, sure. It's about a character named Vivian Ashwood, who's a very troubled girl, and she basically is consumed by this house that she's grew up in and also living in, and she's going through just this crazy mental and psychological warfare in her own head, and you're kind of figuring out really what's going on with her and what's going on with this house, and it takes you on this journey through her anguish, and she's dealing with tons of drug and mental anguish, and she's continually trying to figure it out on her own as well, and kind of isolated from the rest of society too, which I mentioned this earlier, like isolation is the last thing you need when you're going through something like that.
Yeah.
You need people to help, but she pushes everyone away and tries to isolate herself when she should be surrounding herself with people that can help her. And basically shows her this journey through her life.
What made you guys choose this project to produce?
This was a film that came about. We really started kind of working on refining the script in about 2017.
Oh, nice.
So a little bit of a long haul, and just getting it up and going was really, really difficult, but it was kind of a labor of love for so many of us. And there's so many good messages in this film. It deals with psychological illness, it deals with drug abuse, it deals with domestic abuse, it deals with suicide. There are a lot of really important messages to be told in this film, and I feel like the movie is very first and foremost entertainment, and it is a thriller. It's psychological, it's cerebral, it kind of twisting and turning, keeps you guessing. But there are these underlying messages that hopefully people can walk away from the film with a little bit more cognizance of some of the major issues that people are dealing with on a daily basis out there that oftentimes we don't know about.
Sounds like this is a kind of a movie where the set becomes part of the movie, where the house is a big deal. So talk about challenges in producing something like that on an independent budget.
Okay, so this is very
Don't shoot a horror movie in a haunted house.
Not only was it haunted, but I ended up finding this location, and when I first met the owner of the house, the female owner, I always thought there was a little bit something way worse as the production went on. So the house is a character, especially when 70-80% of the movie was shot in this location, and it was definitely a character. But
yeah, this was Mike Tyson's old house.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there's got to be some demons in there.
Bernardsville, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Bernardsville, New Jersey, where Mike Tyson and Robin Gibbons moved into this.
Oh, yeah. The stories are written on the walls, right?
Well, I tell you what, I think it was a 27,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
That was all predominantly stone, limestone, no central air conditioning. So it was really hot. We were shooting in July and August. The house.
Your actors must love you guys.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you couldn't say. Well, I think the only the only circumstance I can think of where it's like, oh, the location was a character in the movie more than us is like The Shining.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I think we're a close runner-up to that. It was crazy.
That's awesome. So what do you guys love about independent film? What is it that keeps you coming and making more movies than in the independent
We just
fashion?
went to the a film festival a few weeks ago, and it's so cool meeting people that are passionate like we are about our film. You know, because I feel like I live in LA, you meet a lot of people that, you know, they're just like, you know, like part of the studio world or the television world, and they're just not as passionate, you know. And I love seeing these people talking about how passionate they are about the movie they made, and also, you know, the struggle is real. Yeah, like you kind of have to struggle a little, I feel like, in life to feel the fruits of it. And I think the independent movie is no shy of that. Like, you know, every independent movie goes through some sort of struggles to get it to fruition, and I think that's why it's so gratifying at the end when someone has a finished product, knowing those 110-degree heat days in a haunted mansion, and knowing those, you know, your lead actress canceling 10 days before your shoot for another film. Those are the kind of things that kind of resonate so much in an independent film, because you see that the passion and the struggle that has gone into this film.
You want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like what he said, that the struggle is real, and, you know, I think a lot of times some of the best art and creative decisions come from the stresses of difficult labor. When you're a little too pampered, or sometimes even you have a little too much money, I feel like people tend to lean towards trying to financially find a way out of their issues, as opposed to creatively finding a way out of their issues. And that just makes a different kind of a movie. So, you know, independent film is still a little bit more gritty, and still a little bit more artistic. And like you said, it's a labor of love. It's less going to work every day and doing the 9 to 5. It's more, we're all here because we love this.
We're doing this 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I said boom, chick practice. I said boom, chick left foot, chick the boom. I said boom. Good morning, class.
I got interested in teaching because I hated school.
I thought, this guy's amazing.
Doug was sort of the Pied Piper.
There was that back and forth always. Music, movement, then Doug's teaching.
He made it official that this would be his last year at the San Francisco school.
I would imagine he worries about technology and somehow overrunning the collaborative, heartfelt sensibilities.
When you got this good groove going, you don't randomly change it.
Change can be really hard for him.
Got this text from a friend saying, watch out for coronavirus.
I've had to learn 6 different technologies in 2 weeks.
Some of the biases around what's important and what's less important for education show themselves.
This idea that music could become optional for the kids.
Finally became clear, like, that's it for the year.
What's the human way through, no matter what the conditions are?
Music isn't just a certain technical thing. It's this whole world where you can engage and connect and be together.
I don't just like the class, I also love what I do and love who taught me all of this.
I tell them that inside these bars of words is a secret song and it's waiting for them, and they have to find it.
Tell everybody about, first off, who you are and the film that you made.
Yes.
I'm Samantha Campbell, and I made The Secret Song. It's my first film, and it's a documentary, a feature documentary about a music teacher who's retiring after 45 years at the same school. And his last year ends up being the year that COVID came along.
Yeah.
And so schools shut down, and he had to teach remotely. And so the movie is about really the human skills that come out of music class. It's not about being a musician or becoming a musician or making musicians. It's really about arts education, I believe, and that's why I made the film, is about teaching people how to be human. Skills like improvisation, skills like listening and responding, being in a community and knowing what you offer the community and what the community can do for you, and working together. And so our movie shows that the music teachers in our film really triumphed with their approach online. They figured out a way, and that's what we all have to do in unknown and adverse conditions.
My favorite thing to ask documentarians is, oftentimes with documentaries, you go into it with a concept, you go into it with an idea, you start shooting something, you sit down, you interview people, and all of a sudden it becomes this wildfire. It changes direction on you. You go into the edit, and you feel like the film that you intended to make changes and morphs into something different. Was that an experience for you? And what point did you realize that this was something more than what I had originally intended it to be?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when I started out, I was just inspired by Doug, the teacher, and I was so curious about his approach to teaching, and I care a lot about arts education, so I did want to make a film that made people care more about music and arts education.
Nice.
But when COVID came along, of course, that's a major pivot.
Yeah.
We couldn't interview anybody.
Yeah.
We couldn't film music classes. There were no music classes. There was nothing. And so at first I was really mad. And I was like, oh, COVID. I was just like, are you serious? And Doug, what about Doug, his career? And I was just like, this is so unfair. And then after a couple weeks, I said, wait a minute, Samantha, this is going to make our point better. It's going to make the story more universal, because everyone experienced some form of loss and distance during COVID. And we know that we don't like that.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to say with the movie is, I don't like the fact that music and arts education is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And we need it, and my film tries to show why we need it and what it really does.
That's
so
awesome.
COVID really gave us that opportunity. And like you say, the wildfire takes off. Well, it was COVID. I said to the editor, I said, did you ever think you'd be making a film about something that everyone in the world experienced? That's trippy.
Yeah.
To think every single person on earth
Yeah.
knows what happened to them during COVID. And most of them know a child, if not a parent themselves. They know teachers. They can relate to the story no matter what. It's because we all went through it in a different way.
Yeah.
Not everybody the same way. Some people watch the film and they go, oh, I don't have kids, and this film really showed me really how hard it was for kids.
Yeah.
And some parents are like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So it's very universal. It's really wonderful to see it with different audiences.
Yeah.
People who retired.
Yeah.
It's wonderful as a first-time director, I just am stunned that people sit and watch something I made that's 90 minutes long. Wow, thanks for coming. Thanks for sitting here this whole time.
Art education in this country and fixing it is a major, major fix. It's not a one-stop shop. It's not one thing can fix it. But what do you think is one way we can pivot and aim toward to get on the right track?
Oh, that's a complex question. But I sort of, as an artist, I think I come to everything through feelings. And what I try to do with the film and how I think change is made is people, I pictured the audience member coming into the theater, his arms crossed, he's like, I'm dragged to this thing. My kid doesn't need music class, he needs more math, because I want him to be a whatever.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the film, I want that guy to be a little softer. Maybe we didn't change his mind, but he goes, I see a little bit, I understand more.
Yeah.
Why it's relevant to my kid, even though my kid isn't a musical kid.
Nice.
And that's how people care more about it, and then they want it more.
Nice.
All
right, Samantha, what do you love about independent film? What is it about independent film that keeps you making more?
Well, what I want to do, make more. It's the collaboration with the other artisans and artists. It's just my experience. It was my first time, right? So I needed to find people who had compassion, who were patient, who liked the subject matter, believed in my vision, and supported me, but also like helped me understand the choices, helped me understand what we could do.
Nice.
I didn't study film. I don't know really anything about it. I like telling stories, so that's what I did know. But the relationships I've made and what I learned from these other people, I can't wait to work with them again.
Crazy, right?
We've reached the indie part of the carpet.
We love that. So let's get creative. Right?
Love it. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell everybody what you're representing today?
Yes, my name is Phillip Andre Botello, and I'm here with the film, the world premiere, Fall and Drive.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Valeria Sweet. I'm an actress and filmmaker. I'm here to support Fall and Drive. We
Nice.
also have a film coming out. We co-starred and co-produced Once in a Blue Moon.
Nice. And where's that at currently? Is it post-production?
It's in post-production.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So, a good reason to be back next year.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're so excited.
We're surveying the landscape, and I gotta tell you, Cinequest, we're liking what we see.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about the film.
All I'm gonna say is this, because it is technically a thriller. It's about a group of high school friends who come back for a reunion. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
It takes you on a wild ride, and you're gonna love it.
That's awesome. So, what inspired you to do a film like this?
It's a great question. I think I'm gonna start part of the sentence, and she's gonna finish it. All right. So, for me, the first thing that I look when I pick up a script and I read it, the first thing that I need it to be is
inspired.
Inspired, nice.
Challenging.
Challenging.
So, if I read the script and it's very difficult, like as an actor to do, I'm not sure that I can do it. That's the one I want to lean into. When I read Fall and Drive, it was such a great piece, and it was emotionally tough, and I wasn't sure I could do it. So those are the things that you can really stretch as an actor.
Nice. Did it test your mental fortitude to an extent that you didn't expect?
100%. And I would recommend for all artists you want to take those kind of roles because you really step outside of yourself, and you can see yourself really expand. You know, even if you don't think you quote unquote succeeded in the role, just the fact that you're trying to do it, your skills kind of just, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that happened with me. I'm just saying that's. Yeah.
So what do you love about making independent film? What is it about indie film that keeps you coming back to it?
You go first, because she writes, directs, produces, and I'm trying to be a little more like on her level.
Well, I think the doing it yourself part, you know, really doing it with your friends, doing it with people you know and trust and like, I think is an important factor. And when I first started, you know, writing and then producing and directing, that was the plan. Like, I want to hire my friends. I want to write roles for my friends. So, for example, like when Phillip and I first met, we just met at a premiere, but then I had written something and I was like, hey, I think you might be good for this. And then he was in like this little pilot that I wrote and like we shot. And then during the pandemic, I ended up writing Once in a Blue Moon, and he graciously helped me produce it. And you know, it's tough. It's tough producing independent film. You don't have the budget, you don't have the means, you don't have enough people ever. So like anybody and everybody who comes together, and any money you get, like everything goes to the project, and it's rewarding having it in the end. You know.
Nice. How about for you, Phil? What do you?
I say the same thing. It's just the work, you know. When you get something that Valeria writes and it's very inspired, you know. For me, it's almost like you feel compelled to just like you have to do this thing, you know. I'm just like I gotta do it, and it's even, you know, even if monetary, I have other jobs that are monetary, you know, like either offering more money.
Yeah.
Those aren't the things that really like. It's cheesy to say, but like get you out of bed, you know. So when she writes a script, or you know, when Nick Cassie writes a script and. You know, it's just something that you feel, and you're like, I gotta do it. I have to do this. So.